Yeah. So these are all the modules, an introductory module which was given in InfyTQ. InfyTQ, they have given two modules. One, part one we call with the DBMS, and part two DBMS is somewhat advanced. Now coming to the content, it deals with the introduction, deals with ER diagrams, the keys, some assignments, SQL commands, the DDL commands, normalizations, DML commands, and some other additional content and sorting operations of the data, and DDL, DML commands, group by command, followed by insert, update, select, group by, order by, having, functions with sorting, grouping, and updating of a data. So joins, inner join, outer join, Cartesian products, self joins. So what we have studied in unit 1, 2, 3 as part of our regular curriculum, the same is repeated, but it is in the Infosys InfyTQ flavor. So now let us stage this flavor towards the content. So we will start from the introduction part. So now you can see the window where it deals up with the introduction part, ER diagrams, SQL part. In this way, it does a module by module allocated. So let us go through each and every content in detail. So this was the first introduction, first slide towards the introduction. Now the definition of DBMS will start from the word called as data. So when we are going to call it as data, it is going to be assumed here as a raw entity. So why it is raw entity? Because until unless we pick up the data into two or more elements, find the patterns associated in it, then only we can make some meaningful decisions. So altogether, the basic definition for a data we are going to call it is a collecting and organizing of the content, and once data was taken up, it is next moving up to an information, and basically it gives up the knowledge to the end user. So you get 90 marks, it is graded into A grade, and people think you are top performer. So the decision at the thing, the synthesizing at the thing, you can assume the part here as a knowledge. So in general, a DBMS will start with data, later a processed data. Now it is going to be an information and gives a quick insights of what was happening when we are going to look into the data. So as far as data is taken up, now there are several ways of looking it into the content. The very first word will be the integrity. So at any point of time, the data should be or after be the same. So at one point of time it is at one model, and another point of time another model. It shouldn't be like that. Data should be accurate always, right? And second thing was, I log in at night 12 o'clock, you log in at morning 8 o'clock. So at any point of time, the database what we are going to see, that should be available to you. Of course, we can have a security, we can have a lot of privileges with username and passwords. So that is going to give you a security, and independent of application, Yeah, it is not that Oracle Live SQL will work only on a mobile, only on a laptop, only on an Apple OS, only on Android OS or Windows OS. It can be easy to apply for anything, and concurrency is that the availability of the database can happen at multiple locations and multiple people can work on a single application at the same point of time. So obviously those words we are going to call here as concurrency. Now, in general, there are two ways before we dig deep into the DBMS, that is the drawbacks of file management system and then the advantages of a database management system. So this was the thing what we have discussed earlier in the file management system. So when the file management system was taken up. It is called as a file-based approach, and the things are taken up with the flat files. So flat files are the things which we are going to save in general in .csv, comma separated values, nor it is saved it in .txt text file or .dat data file, and thereby they are going to be worked in a sequential manner. And today I save with today's date and tomorrow I will save it to another date. So what happens was that a lot of inconsistency is going to arrive to understand which was the final copy. So that was one of the most drawback, and that it is going to create a lot of inconsistency problems, and it leads to data redundancy. And next comes the word where we don't have passwords, we don't have access mechanism, we don't have set of privileges that which user should work with which privilege, whether he has a read access, whether he has a write access, that it is totally missing out, so that it is not possible in the file management system. Next comes the loss of data. So loss of data on concurrent access, because file management system doesn't give an optimal model to support two or more users can work concurrently. So because there is some loss of information can happen, and purely the dependency in a file based system, it takes up with the physical structure of the data. So now here is the definition of a database. So it is going to be given as a shared collection of logically related data, and the description of these data are designed to meet the information need of a organization. So in general, we have the data item, it is processed to an information, and from that information data has been migrated to knowledge. So what was the database was, we do have a lot of tables, and these tables are going to be associated with one another, and thereby they are going to give quick inferences of logically related and gives information about the organization. Okay, after database management system, the next thing was to look into the DBMS. So here is a definition for the database management system. It is going to be a system software because it is purely in control of the operating system. User are not going to write any program for DBMS. It is a built-in model which is coming with the operating system. Then we are going to install Oracle or SQLite or SQL Server. So those it is going to happen. Therefore, we are going to call that element as a system software, and it is going to enable users to define, create, maintain, and control access to the database. So users can define and create. So we have already worked with create table, drop table, update table, and maintaining the things in the database, and control access, read access, write access, shared, exclusive mode. So all type of concurrent access mechanisms can be taken up over the databases. And yeah, they are going to have a high cost, and they look up with high-end hardware configurations. And next comes the application software program, what we are going to call here as a Live SQL. So via the Live SQL, we are able to interact with the internal architecture of the database. So we are using typing the SQL commands. So that part, what we are going to use the live SQL, those we are going to call as an application programs. So you can look into the diagram here. We have number of users and number of application programs, and DBMS, yeah, it is going to maintain the different set of databases. And at the underlying architecture, we do have the operating system. Since operating system is going to be the core entry, so now DBMS is going to be part of the system software. Now, what will be the different focuses, or what will be the different advantages when we are going to work with this DBMS, etc. So the basic features or basic advantages over the file system will be the data management. So it can be stored in a server, or it can be stored up in a cloud. Therefore, it will be very easy for us to store, retrieve, and modify the data. And at any point of time, we can do a transactions, and it will maintain a single set of transaction. There is no duplicate, there is no data redundancy, etc. And third comes multiple users can use simultaneously the same database without any conflict. So that is taken care with this concurrent control. And if a crashing is going to happen, using the ACID properties, using the ARIS algorithm, the database management system will recover the things from further references. And followed by the security, yeah, it is going to create users, and users are going to have some access matrix to prevent read or write, read write exclusive. So all type of things are going to be taken up with this security. And in data integrity, it is looking up to maintain and perfect data and accurate data. At any point of time, only one data is going to happen. And then there are utilities where the database is going to be maintained. Database can be imported, exported, can take a backup, and performance of a database can be analyzed. A login, a redo, undo phase has to be taken up. For that, a logging, and how many users are there, tables are there. So all that need to be audited. So in order to look into the performance of the database, so these are the different features what a database is going to agree up. So that is the very first part of the introductory part what we have. And yeah, so once introductory part is done, the next thing will be a automatic questionnaire. So if you look into the questionnaire, yeah, you can access it. Now for easiness, now I am looking, you can start the test and you can take up the questions. But for easiness, I am skipping out this and moving to the next topic. So these are all going to be the part of for us in the unit 1 of the DBMS. Fine. So what is this topic looking at? This topic, it is going to look at the different types of the database management systems. Yeah, there are different types of database management systems which are going to apply for a relational database to the DBMS. One of a such category, we call it as relational database. 2, we call it as a network database. 3, we are going to call it as a hierarchical database. 4, we are going to call as a NoSQL. So we do WhatsApp text, we do Facebook test, and then we use YouTube comments. So these are the LinkedIn or all the social networking sites, they are going to be totally unstructured. But from unstructured, we need to get to a structured way to do analysis. So for that, we are using nowadays the NoSQL. So NoSQL is an example where it is going to mold up lot of text, that too in form of a unstructured content. So unstructured content now need to be rebuilt to a structured content. For that, we work with this NoSQL, and things are going to be organized into number of levels. So for that, it takes up with the hierarchical. Let us look into the detailed way of the different types of DBMS. So it is taking time to load. So it depends on the network speed, etc. So there is some network issue. Let it get known. Yeah. So it is rectified, I think. Again, net is connected. Yeah. So the previous slide, what it was talking was there are different type of database management system. It is hierarchical, NoSQL, networks, and relational. Now let us start understanding what was relational access. If we do have a relational access, the very simple thing, we put this in a tabular form with rows and columns. We just put this with rows and columns. So 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 elements, that is James, E, Jack. So these people we call the number of rows 4. ID, employee name, salary, bonus, and department. Yeah, these we call them as the columns. So organizing the things in rows and columns. So this is one set of DBMS. We call it as a model called as relational model. Fine. After the relational model, the next term what we have, I will just move to the previous ones. Give me time. So this is next. Yeah. So in this relational model, ID, name, salary, bonus, and department, we call them as fields, we call them as columns, we call them as attributes. And the 1, 2, 3, 4 of Jack, Abraham, or James Potter, etc., we call it as rows, records, or tuples. So whatever meaning we call, that is similar. So the number of rows what we have, it is going to point out the cardinality of a relation. So I'm going to have 4 rows. Obviously, these 4 tuples, they are going to point out the cardinality of the data. And now we call ID, employee name, salary, and bonus. So these items we are going to call the aspects, that is attributes, and they are going to point out the degree of a relation. So just to have a quick recap what I told, if we are going to point out to the rows, we call them as cardinality. If we are going to point out to the columns, we are going to call them as degrees. So I'm not giving any primary key constraint. I'm not going to give unique. I'm not going to give any not null. But there is some empty space. Having an empty space, we are going to call that one as a null. So null is going to be a value of an attribute that is currently unknown and not applicable. So right now, I don't know what was the bonus of Mr. E. So therefore, I'm going to put it as an empty. So that is not applicable, or it can be currently unknown. Right now I don't know, therefore I am going to miss it down. And yeah, so I have a department, that department it shows CSE department, IT department, mechanical, triple EC, etc. Right? So more than that, there are no more departments in the college. Similarly, they are going to create an employee and department database where they have a department name called as ICP, they are going to have a department name called as ETA, and they are going to have a department called as IVS. So whatever values we are going to tell, those values, they are going to be part of the rows. They are going to be part of those domain entities. It can be 1 ICT, it can be 2 ETA, and 3 it can be IVS, not more than that. So fitting all these three, the pre-probability values, as we can say, in a drop-down box, in a combo box, we give whatever values they are, that is fixed. Similarly, thus fixing those values we are going to call here as domain. So what we talked about attributes, we talked about tuples, we talked about the artery, or we talked about the cardinality, then we talked about the null values. So this is all regarding the relational model. So after relational model, now let us look into the word called as data integrity. Let us look into the word called as data integrity. So coming to the data integrity, a blunt answer was, if we have unique, if you have not null, if you have primary key, if you have secondary key, if you have range, if you have domain, all that they are going to satisfy data integrity. All that are examples, all that are cases for data integrity. But what we have to mention it in words for data integrity. So the mentioning of the words was, they are going to maintaining and assuring the accuracy and consistency of the data over the entire life cycle. So at any point of time, data should be stable and only one set of copies should be available. There should not be any duplicate values. So it should be accurate, that how whatever values it is showing with an energy at morning, the same at the evening. So it is not like a human being that at one point of time it does at one content, another point of time it does another content. No, the accuracy should be maintained at any point of time. So similarly, these they are going to ensure the data integrity constraints by restricting some access. So we will discuss on that. That is, we are going to give some range, and within that range only the values should come, like that we are going to give. So now what are the different types of data integrities? The very first type of data integrity we call it as entity integrity. So when we are going to talk about an entity integrity, we are going to point out to a entire row. And next comes the domain integrity. In this domain integrity, we will be talking about a entire column. So domain integrity, we are talking about an entire column. Entity integrity, we are talking about an entire row. And now I have table 1 and I do have table 2. I want to establish a relationship between table 1 and table 2. So obviously we need to have a referential integrity. So between tables, linking of two tables, then we are going to use the referential integrity keys, and those referential integrities we call it as foreign key. So here I am going to have some department ID as a global variable, and that I am going to create in the main table as the master table as a department ID and a local variable, and I will show, or I will navigate, or I am going to refer the department ID which is local to the global, and mentioning that this is going to be a foreign key, that is nothing but a reference key. So now integrity constraints, as far as this context is going to be concerned, we are going to talk that it is applicable to a row, we call it as an entity integrity. When it is going to applicable to a domain, we call it as column integrity, and it is applying between multiple tables, then we are going to call that one as a relational integrity. So now, sorry, referential integrity. So when an example has to be taken up with a referential integrity, we call it as a foreign key. When an example to be taken up with domain integrity, we call it as data types or type check. And when we are going to talk about entity integrity, in order to uniquely identify a row, we are going to use the primary key values. Similarly, for a domain, just now we discussed the department, ICT, RSA, etc. So whatever department names gives, only those should become in the same model. We are going to pick this word here as a check constraint. So in general, we have an entity constraint, which we are going to call it as a primary key. Next one, we are going to have associated with for a column, so which it is check constraint. And the next one was a referential integrity. Yeah, it is applicable to the foreign key content. So an interesting word here again comes to you. What was a candidate key? We know the mechanism, that is one we call it as super key. From super key we have a minimal set of keys called as a candidate key. From that minimal set of keys we picked up an appropriate key which is satisfying a domain and which is unique and not null. We call it as a primary key. Now let us look into these words. A candidate key, it is going to be a minimal set of column or an attribute that can be usually identifying a tuple or in a relation. Next thing, they are going to be determined during the database design for based on the underlying business rules of a database, what it should obey, etc. So here is an example what we can pick it up. So employees, the employees is going to be the table name, employee number, name, Aadhaar number, salary, date of birth. So these are the different 5 fields. Now employee number at that context is unique, but Aadhaar number is going to be unique across India. Now in these two, employee number and Aadhaar number, now I am going to have these two as a minimal keys. So now this set of minimal keys, we are going to call it as a candidate key. So now we identify the domain to which we are going to apply, and that domain we are going to call here as an employee number. Therefore, employee number now it is going to be apt for the primary key. So now we talked about the candidate key, which it is going to be the minimal set of keys, and based upon the business context we are going to look up the employee name as a unique identifier. Fine. So we talked about unique, etc. Now let us look into the new word called as a primary key. So primary key is the candidate key that is selected to uniquely identify a tuple in a relation. So this was the main and foremost intention here. So a primary key, yeah, it is going to be part of a candidate key. So I was just telling the very first one is a super key. From the super key, we are going to get a minimal set, and that minimal set we are going to call it as primary candidate keys. From the candidate key, we will choose one key which is fit to the domain. So now what will be the desired content for a primary key? Yeah, it should be unique, uniquely identify a tuple. Next thing, it must not allow null values. So at any point of time, the null value should not be inside the attribute what we are going to track it for the primary key. So that is the fundamental reason here. And next thing was no two or more columns will have the same type set of a primary key. So that is one of a way we should understand this primary key concept. So now let us look with the referential key. So referential key we are going to call here as here as a foreign key at this point of time. So foreign key, it is going to be set of one or more columns in the child table. And see here we have computer ID, that is computer table, and employee table, we have computer table. So employee table, now it is going to call up the computer table. So computer table, it is having a computer ID as a primary key here, and here the employee table ID is going to be the primary key, and the secondary key or the composite or the candidate key, it is going to be the computer ID, which is with the same values what are perceived. Now, we need to see that whatever field is going to be defined, whether it is existing in the other table or not, that we are going to mention it out. So, coming to the relationship, we do have a parent or child table relationship, and via the references between computer ID and computer ID, which is shown in the blue part, we are now linking up these two items. Now, the child table can contain null values, etc. So, we are going to set up the foreign key, which we are going to establish a relationship between two tables. The next one, we have a quiz. I think for time saving, we will skip up the quiz concepts. You can practice on your own, and it is related to a quiz which is dealing with the data integrity part. We talked about data integrity and constraints. So